What if I told you that no matter how fierce the storm, no matter how loud the whispers of darkness, there is a light within you that demons cannot touch? What if every scar, every tear, every setback was not proof of defeat, but evidence that you are chosen, set apart, and covered by a strength greater than fear itself? And what if the battles you are facing right now were never meant to destroy you, but to reveal that demons cannot touch the core of who you are? What if the voices that told you, you are not enough, you will not survive, you cannot win, were nothing but desperate echoes of an enemy who knows your soul is untouchable? Have you ever wondered why, despite all you've endured, you are still here, still breathing, still fighting? Let me tell you why. Because your soul, the essence of who you are, is off limits to darkness. The storms of life may rage, your body may grow weary, your mind may be stretched thin, but there is a sacred place within you that cannot be touched, cannot be stained, cannot be destroyed. And that is why the enemy trembles when you wake up in the morning, because no matter how many times you fall, you rise again. You know, I remember a story of a man who had lost everything, his family, his health, his wealth, yet in the midst of his suffering, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That man was Job, and though life tore away everything around him, his soul remained untouchable. His story is not just ancient text, it is a mirror to our own lives. Because haven't you too faced seasons where everything was stripped away, where friends abandoned you, where nights were soaked with tears? And yet here you are, still standing. That is proof, my friend, that your spirit is unbreakable, that you carry something no demon can touch. But wait, have you noticed something? Every time you get back up, the battles grow fiercer, the voices grow louder, the pressure intensifies. Why? Because your very survival is a threat, your resilience is a weapon. Every scar is a testimony, every tear is a seed of strength, every step forward is a declaration that darkness has no claim on you. And here's the secret: demons can bruise your body, they can attack your name, they can try to shake your faith, but they cannot penetrate the fire that was placed in your soul before you were even born. That fire is eternal, that fire is divine, that fire is your birthright. And if you dare to believe it, if you dare to hold on when everything tells you to let go, you will discover the greatest truth of all, that the chosen cannot be broken, and that includes you. Have you ever asked yourself why the attacks come heavier the moment you decide to rise? Why the shadows seem darker just as you begin to step into your calling? Why it feels as though the world itself is conspiring to silence your voice? Could it be, my friend, that the very intensity of your struggle is proof of the power you carry? Demons do not chase the empty, they chase the anointed. They do not war against the powerless, they war against those whose lives are marked with purpose. If you feel targeted, it is because you are carrying something far greater than you realize, something the enemy fears you will discover. Think about it: when a thief breaks into a house, he does not waste time rummaging through empty drawers. He goes after the treasure, the jewels, the valuables hidden away. So when you find yourself under relentless attack, do not despair, because it is evidence that you are treasure, evidence that you hold something of eternal worth. I recall a young woman who once told me her life had been nothing but a cycle of heartbreak and betrayal, doors closing in her face, people turning against her the moment she dared to dream bigger. She wept and asked, "Why me?" And I looked into her eyes and said, "Because you are dangerous to the darkness. Because your light is too bright to go unnoticed." Every closed door was not rejection, it was redirection, pushing her toward a path where her gift would shine brighter than she could have imagined. And isn't that what you've experienced too? The greater your calling, the heavier the weight, the fiercer the battle, and yet the louder the testimony when you rise from the ashes. But here is the part that will shake you. The opposition you face is not a sign of your weakness. It is confirmation of your strength. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you rise when life says you should stay down, become more dangerous to the darkness. Demons fear your persistence. They fear your hope. They fear your faith. And though they may circle you like vultures, waiting for you to collapse, they cannot touch the fire in your soul. That fire is what makes you unstoppable. That fire is why you are chosen. And if you dare to believe that the weight you carry is not a curse but a crown, you will see that your very opposition is proof that destiny is written in your favor. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how close darkness comes, it never truly destroys you? Why the enemy can circle, whisper, and even wound your pride, but somehow it cannot steal your destiny? Here is the truth: your spirit is guarded by a covering no demon can cross. Your life is not an accident. It was written long before you took your first breath, and that divine handwriting is a shield that nothing in hell can erase. Demons may attempt to frighten you with illusions, but they cannot penetrate the boundary set around a chosen soul. Imagine a fortress built high upon a hill, with walls too strong for the enemy to scale, gates too heavy for chains to break. This is your spirit, guarded by destiny itself. And no matter how fierce the assault, the fortress still stands. No, I remember the story of Daniel, thrown into a den of lions, sealed behind a stone, surrounded by death. To every eye watching, his fate was certain, his end already written. But while men sealed the stone, God sealed Daniel's spirit, and no lion dared to touch him. Why? Because his destiny was greater than the den. That same truth lives in you. The lions may roar around you, the pit may close in, and yet you will rise untouched, because your calling is larger than the cave that tries to hold you. And isn't it strange, every time you've thought it was over, every time you thought the night would swallow you, whole, a new morning came, a new chance appeared, a new strength rose up inside you? That is no coincidence. That is destiny guarding your steps. But here's the mystery. Have you noticed that the closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the battle becomes? The enemy grows desperate when it realizes it cannot claim what belongs to God. It will hurl lies, stir confusion, and push fear like a flood, but still, it cannot cross the line destiny. You are chosen, and chosen souls carry a shield no weapon can pierce. So when you feel surrounded, remember this: you are not trapped, you are protected. You are not abandoned, you are guarded. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are a vessel of purpose. And though demons may watch you from a distance, they cannot lay a hand on what has already been marked as untouchable. What if I told you that fear is not your enemy, but your teacher, and that every time you stand up in the face of it, you declare to the world that you are unshakable? What if I told you that faith is not fragile hope? It is the fire that burns even when the wind howls, even when the storm rages, even when every voice tells you it is impossible. Courage has never been the absence of fear. It is moving forward while fear clings to your ankles, whispering that you will fail, and yet step by step you keep walking, you keep rising, you keep declaring that nothing will stop you. I once heard of a soldier who trembled before battle, his knees shaking, his hands unsteady, but still he marched forward, and when asked why he did not retreat, he said, "I would rather die moving forward than live chained to fear." That is faith in motion, that is resilience, that is the spirit of the chosen. And if you look at your own life, haven't you been through nights where you thought the dawn would never come, yet somehow it came? Haven't you stood in fires you thought would consume you, yet here you are, stronger, sharper, and still breathing? That is not chance, that is resilience fueled by faith. But here is where the story sharpens. Once you understand that demons cannot break a chosen soul, you must also understand that chosen souls do not live small. The world wants you to bow, to shrink, to silence your fire, but destiny calls you to rise taller, to live bolder, to carry your scars like medals of honor. I remember a woman who had been told her voice was too loud, her dreams too big, her presence too much, and for years she tried to shrink to make herself invisible. But the more she tried to hide, the heavier her spirit became, until one day she stood tall and said, "I was never born to whisper. I was born to roar. And from that day forward, her life transformed. Do you see it? The chosen do not blend into the shadows. They stand as flames in the dark, reminding the world that purpose is stronger than fear, that destiny is louder than doubt, and that no force of darkness can bow a soul that was created to rise. Lift your head, straighten your back, and walk with power, because when you live bold, you live chosen, and when you live chosen, you live untouchable. So hear me clearly, demons cannot touch a chosen soul. They may whisper, they may rattle the chains, they may try to steal your peace, but they cannot reach the place where your true power lives. Stand in that truth, walk in that fire, live in that unshakable strength. And when the night comes, remember, the chosen do not fall, the chosen rise, always,